Welcome back to this week's episode of Ouens with Opinions. My name is Dane, and in this week's topic, we will be discussing wokeness. Wokeness in the South African perspective. Be sure to drop us a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Yes, let's get back to this episode.
As Chad said, wokeness is the first topic that we'll be covering. So, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, woke means to be aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. Okay, so I got another source over here. The Cambridge Dictionary calls it a state of being aware, especially of social problems such as racism and inequality. Okay, so would like to begin?
Okay, I guess it's gonna come over to me now.
Yeah, so leave it.
So obviously, on a channel like this, we're gonna have different opinions. We're not always gonna agree. Let's just get that out the way. So personally, when it comes to wokeness, I think with everything there's a good and a bad aspect to it. The good thing about wokeness is the fact that people are seeking to understand and analyze situations and systems that have been put in place by whosoever and maybe has not benefited a certain group of people, whatsoever the case is. So that's a good thing. You people are starting to say, okay, I need to start thinking about stuff. I shouldn't just follow. I need to, okay, why am I following? Ask questions and stuff like that. The bad thing obviously is going overboard. Some things are not what you were trying to make them to be in certain situations, right? And sometimes you might fabricate or look for something where there isn't anything in whatever situation you find yourself. So as you mentioned, the definition saying wokeness is being aware about social injustices in society and stuff like that. So just an introduction from my side. I think with this one, there will need to be a nuanced look at it, and it's going to have to be a case-by-case analysis. So I think that's what I'll say initially, and then maybe you can come back to me later.
All right. So my stance on the whole woke personality is that I feel like everyone that claims to be woke has the sense of pride about themselves that they think they know better than the next person. Personally, I think that what plays a big role is the fact that human beings nowadays we have a lot of access to a lot of knowledge that could give us the illusion that we know a lot, but in actual fact, we are actually, I think the word is digressing. I think digressing in the sense of since we have never had so much access to knowledge, but yet we have never been so misinformed as well in our world's in our world's history, which is a huge problem because I feel like a lot of people these days, everyone wants to speak. Nobody wants to listen anymore. And I feel like that's the key to communication, especially when it comes to such topics as racial prejudices. And I feel like a lot of people just need to learn how to speak and how to listen as well. And also how to just manage to treat each other like a normal human being. Because at the end of the day, no one is your villain. No one is going to, well, normally, no one is really your enemy if they hold a different opinion than you do. It's just that we need to understand and accept that there are certain people that do not think like us and don't hold the same values that we do. And I think with regards to the woke person just needs to be humbled, in my opinion. With regards to, but it's something that comes from inside, personally, because as I said, we need to be very careful with the amount of content that we receive and the amount of things that we put out there, because it can be quite offensive to a certain group and it might not be offensive to another group as well. But all in all, we just have to make sure that we treat the next person like a human and not like subhuman. And I think that's a lot of the time what people tend to do to each other.
Yeah, just to add to what Chad was saying, basically, I've noticed one thing as well. Like you said, people don't like to listen to anything that's that's an opposing view to somebody else. You see, especially when it goes against the mainstream narrative. I'm sure we've seen that with our experience, like speaking to people, especially those that don't believe in basic biblical principles or even believing that the God of the Bible exists. We personally do. So when we follow those principles in the Bible, we obviously see that we can see the error in humanity, you see, because that's what Jesus spoke about, the error in how we are as people. You understand? So how this wokeness ties up into our society is that critical race theory, that's just something that is a school of thought that makes another group to blame for something that was done before. Or maybe we can just edit that part, but woo, I just messed it up, bro.
It's all right.
Bro. So anyway, I wanted to bring in the word critical race theory into this because we are aware of it, what critical race theory is, and what it has been doing to society. It's being used by ANC, EFF, Black Lives Matter. All of them have the same modus operandi, blaming past experience for what is their current circumstances. You see, and if we continue to live in that type of way, we won't go forward. Okay, blaming other people for your faults in your life. And, that just ties in with wokeness because the woke society or the woke mindset is that because of A, B, and C, I am living as D. You understand? So the point is we need the wokeness really just traps people into being fighting each other, like Chad mentioned as well, where people are always not listening to any opposing views or accepting it as something else. You understand what I mean? So I just wanted to drop that one in there just to expand further on what you all think about wokeness. And if it comes back this way, then I'll share more.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanna something you spoke about is the Black Lives Matter and also talking about past experiences, generational past experiences that probably people feel has handicapped them going forward and stuff like that. I personally am somebody who would say Black Lives Matter, not the organization, but the movement that black people started to speak out about because of what was going on in terms of black people's lives being treated somewhat less of value because of a system that had been in place, right? So I'll try and keep it short. It's obviously been documented and experienced by black people themselves, or even mixed people, colored people in South Africa, or mixed people around the world, right? I was listening to an artist earlier today called Youngster CPT, and he has a song called Sensitive. And in the second verse, he's talking about how the government had mixed people as experiments, right? So in South Africa, that would be colored people, and he will be talking about the apartheid government. And I don't know if he was alluding to maybe even the current government, but he was just talking about how colored people were either seen as experimenting, like lab rats in a sense, given the different mixtures you have amongst the colored community, and even amongst the mixed community in different countries, right? You have different mixtures and whatsoever the case is. So in that sense, when you talk about Black Lives Matter, which some people would say includes mixed lives and colored lives, I stand to be corrected. There have been situations where people have not been treated as a human being who can think, process information, and has the ability of doing something that, if we're being frank, a white person can do. All right? There has been situations like that. There has been situations where people of a different color have been treated badly just because of their color and because of the stereotype that they're not a superior intellectual being and stuff like that. So I personally agree with the notion that Black Lives Matter in that sense. You don't just kill somebody because you feel that they're inferior to you. You don't discriminate against them because you feel they're inferior to you, whatsoever the case is. But now the organization, as we know it in America, co-opted the movement that was a very sensitive and sentimental movement to now start an organization that goes against, I would say, natural and logical principles that you find in the Bible, as Dan was talking about. And talking about the family, talking about, if we're being frank, gender, talking about different stuff, right? That if you look at what's been said and the principles that have been given in the Bible, it only logically makes sense if you follow it. But the organization is trying to make everything fluid and inconsistent, and as much as it seems like it's all inclusive, it's ultimately gonna hurt in the long term, right? So I'm a person that the movement I agree with, and I would stand for saying that don't treat somebody differently because of their color or their background or cultural origin, right? That is something I would speak about. And the critical race theory, I would admit, is not something I'm very clued up upon. I heard it's where if somebody has been disadvantaged to a certain level, they should have more say or they should be helped the most in certain situations like that. I think, like I said in the beginning, we need to look at stuff on a case-to-case basis, right? And what I want to say, because I don't want to speak too much on that because I'm not too clued about it. What I would want to say is, though something has happened to you in the past, you shouldn't use it as a handicap moving forward, because if you do, you're just gonna stay stagnant for longer than you need to be. I do believe there's opportunity for you to make something of your life. It may be harder, but that's how you just have to go through it. You just have to do what you need to do. There are people that are gonna work with you. There are people who are gonna be open to what you have to say, what you have to offer going forward. And you just have to find those people and work. The globe is a big place. You got 8 billion people. Yeah, you probably just need 100 people to start moving and doing what you need to do. You don't need 5 billion people, right? So that's what I will say regarding Black Lives Matter. The wokeness regarding it, like I said it in my first thingy, there's extremes to it. Sometimes, as was said, you become too prideful. You think that you know everything and you don't consider what somebody else is saying. That is something I would not like to condone in this wokeness attitude, but there is the awareness and the wanting to speak about stuff that are wrong that I commend and I would stand behind. So that's something I will leave you with.
Yeah. All right. My stance as to what Daniel was speaking about is that we shouldn't treat another group unfairly or inferior just because of their skin color. I always like to use this example. It's quite a silly example. Imagine aliens came to the world, right?
Okay.
And they analyzed us and saw what is one of our biggest issues, and they saw that one race treats another race differently solely because of the different shade of their skin color. How silly would we look to those aliens? We look extremely stupid. But with that also being said, I feel like back to what you were saying about that was, I feel like personally, everyone can be biased no matter what your skin color is. And although it may not be a popular opinion, just because someone's forefathers done you wrong, and if this person hasn't done you wrong, I don't see a reason as to why they have to be oppressed due to what their fathers in the past have done. Because if that were the case, I'm sure a lot of people, everyone has a dark past. And I don't believe anyone should be yelled, have it yelled against him. Because the reason why people change, and especially when that person is not the same person that oppressed you in the past. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep my thing short, and yeah, just wanna say that.
Yes, Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Ouens with Opinions. Be sure to follow, like, comment, and subscribe on all social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Drop a comment on any other topics that you would like to hear next. Ciao.